chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material in use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
All right, hold on. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, I think we got the sound going. That works, so we know that everything else should be working as well. Saludos to the family. Hope all you're doing good. Buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenos días for you guys that are far. Good to have you here, bro. I'm going to get to it. I started right away because I kind of want to get to this. I'm going to try to read as much as I can. There's this book I want to share with you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I share, but I've never gone through a whole book with you guys. And I'm going to try to go through that, not the whole book today, but, in a good portion. But not just to make it so, monotone. We're going to add some videos to it, which signifies and at least gives a pretty good idea, man, of what's going on over there right now in the Middle East. Is not new. maybe a lot of you, well, it's not new. And for us, the way that we're going to read it today, it's going to open up some eyes and hopefully give you a reminder. Like when we talk about what occurred here, what still is occurring, right? And all of a sudden, people are forgetting the same foreigners, the same people that brought these concepts, right, are now complaining about over there. And I'm going to show you how they've always been knowing this. It's been written. They always knew. But see, when it affects your house now, then it matters to you. Then all of a sudden you do care, you know? That's what it says. I may not see everybody's post today, family, because I'm going to be very focused on reading, okay? There's a lot to show you. So why don't we begin, okay? The topic is going to be basically this one. If you've never heard of this book, you can't find it online, okay? You can find it, but you can't necessarily read off of it, an archive or anything. The Hidden History of Zionism by Ralph Shulman. Okay? But as I said before, we're gonna read and we're gonna see. We're gonna read and we're gonna see. So the first things I want to show you is some videos, because we're gonna get to read about how that it's amazing that it's still happening. But now that it's affecting certain people's pocket, now these bastards care. Now they care all of a sudden. Christmas Christians. Now they care. Let's go.
In March of 2014, that Israel has the largest human skin bank in the world. Where do you think they got all this skin from? They have more human skin than China and India. They are literally skinning the dead bodies of my brothers and sisters in Palestine. That's where they are getting the human skin from. And if I call them Nazis, your law is going to punish me. Israeli Channel 10 reported in March of 2014 that Israel has the largest human skin bank.
I didn't know that. But does it surprise you? It shouldn't at this point. You know, it really shouldn't. Just like, does this surprise you? It really shouldn't. A lot of times we think that, oh, that can't happen to you. Oh, bro. You know, there's a pattern to the way, I guess you could say, an oppressive state takes. Sometimes you can't do it bluntly, but slowly, with propaganda, you'll be able to do it. I mean, they talk about it right here.
Oh, Paso 911, operator Casas, what is the address to the emergency?
We're at Camp Montana East ICE detention facility. We currently have a detainee actively suicidal, attempting to hurt himself.
The Associated Press obtained 130 911 calls involving the nation's largest immigration detention facility set up at Fort Bliss Army Base in Texas.
I have a patient here that's suicidal and homicidal.
This is a 27-year-old female. She's 12 weeks pregnant. She has extreme lower back pain and a headache. She's not eating. She's not drinking.
Along with interviews and court records, they offer a disturbing portrait of overcrowding, medical neglect, malnutrition, and emotional distress.
Every day felt like a week. Every week felt like a month. Every month felt like a year. You know, the torture, just, you know, the lack of sleep, the lack of food. Inhumane is my main word.
Owen Roman Ramsing spent nearly 5 months at Camp East Montana before he was deported to the Netherlands in February.
I lost everything. Everything.
They're getting substandard food. They're not getting the medical that they need. This place needs to be shut down, and it needs to be shut down immediately.
The Texas Democrat has called for an investigation.
We're not going to talk about, oh, well, you voted for this. Nah. We're going to go into some history. And you tell me how it feels when you read about the horrible treatment. Like, what is wrong with people, basically, right? Again, if you don't read, if you don't know history, you can fall for the propaganda and the okey-doke every single day. Like deciding to think that Democrats or Republicans or independents or anybody or this government is going to really help you.
Investigation into the contractors running the facility.
People should be moved by the abject cruelty, but if they're not, I hope they're moved by the fraud and corruption.
The Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said, quote, claims that there are subprime conditions at ICE facilities are false, adding that the detainees receive food, water, and medical treatment in a facility that is regularly cleaned. Ramsing was a legal permanent resident when he was detained last September flying back into the country. Immigration authorities cited a drug conviction when he was 16, for which he had served prison time.
I had at least 60 notarized, what do you call those?
Character letters.
Character letters from very high-powered people, talking about, attorneys, doctors, police officers. I'm a big part of the community of Columbia, Missouri.
During his time at Camp East Montana, a Cuban man died in early January of asphyxia after he was restrained following what ICE said was a suicide attempt. Ramsing says he overheard a guard say that there was a $500 bet over whether the next suicide would occur by a certain date.
And then I turned around and said, what the f-? Like, basically, you're betting against me, basically committing suicide. Every single one of us, with what we were dealing with inside there, it ran through all of our heads. That the suicide is real.
DHS called his account false and said the facility provides mental health treatment and tries to prevent suicide attempts. Meantime, Ramsing is living with his father in the Netherlands, separated from his wife and 3 children, figuring out where and how to rebuild his life.
Oh, shit. Now, I do want to say this. Are y'all surprised? This is from Occupied America. I'm going to read a little bit of this, and then we're going to get into the actual book. This is not from the cover page that I showed you. But you'll start seeing the relation, the similarities. People moving in and people being taken out forcefully, going into homes, doing what they do. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, it says, Nicholas Thrist sent to Mexico and act as peace commissioner, arrived in Veracruz on May 6, 1847, right? But controversy with the General Scott over Trist's authority delayed, and armistice and hostilities continued. Hold on, I can't really see, man. Come on. Okay, after the fall of Mexico City, Secretary of State James Buchanan ordered Thrist to break off negotiations and return home. President Polk wanted to secure more land from Mexico than originally planned, and he wanted to replace Thrist with a tougher negotiator. Thrist, however, with the support of General Winfield Scott, decided to ignore Polk's order and began negotiation on January 2nd, 1848, on the original terms. All right? Mexico, badly beaten, our government in a state of turmoil, had no choice but to agree to the U.S. proposal. I've done a video on this, who was involved. It's way beyond what this is saying, okay? Just talk about Masonics were involved in this whole thing. The negotiations were difficult for Thrist. He was aware of the Mexican humiliation, and he felt a strong sense of embarrassment. Thrist himself knew that the war had been a pretext to seize Mexican land. Keep that in mind. In February 2nd, 1848, the Mexican Congress ratified the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, with Mexico accepting the Rio Grande as a Texas border and ceding almost half of its territory, which incorporated the present-day states of California, New Mexico, Nevada, and parts of Colorado, Arizona, Utah, and even Oklahoma to the United States in return for $15 million. Interesting, right? Polk, furious upon learning about the treaty, considered Thrist contemptibly base for having ignored his orders. Yet, he had no choice but to submit the treaty to the Senate. With the exception of Article 10, which concerned the rights of Mexicans in ceded territory, the Senate ratified the treaty on March 10, 1848, by a vote of 28 to 14. To insist on more territory would have meant more fighting, and both Polk and the Senate realized that the war was already unpopular in many circles. The United States sent the treaty to the Mexican Congress for ratification. The Congress had difficulty forming a quorum, barely ratified the treaty by 52 to 35 vote on May 19th. Then, since hostility between the two nations officially ended, supposedly, Polk's disappointed Polk, disappointed with the settlement, branded Thrist as a scoundrel. However, in fact, there had been considerable support in the United States for acquisition of Mexico. You see that? Considerable support. You mean everybody? You know, all of these complainers right now. All of these complainers. This is all of them. This is why you can't sit here now and complain about, oh, these Jews are stealing our land. We're fighting a war for them. Really? If you only knew what your history has been doing. During the treaty talks, Mexican negotiators expressed great reservation about the Mexican living in lost territory for being forced to merge or blend into Euro-American culture. The negotiators protested the exclusion of provisions that protected Mexican citizen rights, land titles, and religion. They wanted to protect their rights by treaty, which obviously you can understand now that they never did. Article 8, 9, and 10 specifically referred to the rights of Mexicans in what became the United States. Under the treaty, they had 1 year to choose whether to return to Mexico or remain in occupied Mexico, quote unquote. About 2,000 elected to leave, most remain in what they considered their land. Article 9 of the treaty guaranteed Mexicans the quote unquote enjoyment of all the rights of the citizens of the United States according to the principles of the Constitution. Funny how they turned that, 14th Amendment on you guys, right? How is this being respected and protected? I don't think so, man. We're going to see some stuff. In the meantime, shall be maintained and protected in the free enjoyment of their liberty and prosperity, and secured in the free exercise of their religions without restrictions. You see this here? Why am I reading this? Then it says, let me continue finishing, and then I'll go into that question. Lynn I. Perigo and the American Southwest summarize the guarantees of Article 8 and 9. In other words, besides the rights and duties of American citizenship, they, the Mexicans, would have special privileges derived from their previous customs in language, law, and religion. Previous customs in language, law, and religion. So if you spoke Spanish and want to change that, right? Or if you spoke a language and didn't want to change that, because this land was purchased, this side, it should be respected and what? Applied under their constitution. It doesn't occur though, does it? Does it? No, it doesn't.
No, let's Jeffrey, I'm your moderator, and it's enough.
When I look at my own country, the United States, it is a semi-democratic, white-dominated, hierarchical, racist society that aims to preserve privilege by the elites. That's how it was formed in 1787. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country, killing Native Americans for a white culture. But amazingly, it still looks that way. Although we're much more diverse now than we were. The most violent country in the world in the 19th century, by far, was perhaps the most democratic or second most democratic, and that was Britain. You can be democratic at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States. It's been by far involved in more wars in the world since 1950 at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States.
Damn. He's not lying though, is he? No, he's not. He's not lying. You know, you can try to slice it any way you want to. You got these lovers of particulars. I don't know, man. You know, I guess I got tired of trying to understand people at this point. You know, wickedness is probably 80 to 90% rampant in this earth right now. So now we're going to get into this book here, The Hidden History of Zionism. Okay? And we're going to start in page 15. No, page 1, sorry. Give me a second. Let me see if I've got it right here. Okay, everything's in line. All right, let's go right about. We're going to read. We're going to see some videos. And we're going to read so you can get an idea. Now, this is the preface from that book, okay? And again, it's hard to find online to read. So these are pictures that I took from the book. All right, so let's begin. It says, with anger, hatred, and sheer ferocity, thousands of youngsters hurled rocks at their Israeli occupiers. Undaunted by the gunfire that greeted them, this was more than a civil unrest. It was the beginning of a civil rebellion. This is how Jerusalem Post correspondent Hirsch Goodman described the uprising of Palestinian youth in the West Bank and Gaza in mid-December 1987. He says Goodman's remarks were written the day before December 21 in 1987, general strike which engulfed every Palestinian community under Israeli rule. Pay attention. The strike was described by the Israeli Daily as haaretz, as writing on our wall, even more serious than the bloody riots of the last 2 weeks. On that day, wrote John Kiffner in the New York Times, okay, the vast army of Arab laborers who wait on tables, pick vegetables, haul garbage, lay brick, and perform virtually all Israeli menial work stayed home. Does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell to you guys? Arabs who were originally from that region are now day laborers or waiters or picks the vegetables or clean up the garbage or build your houses or perform virtually all Israel's menial work stayed home. Now, the part of staying home is obviously one thing. The other part is, who does that here? You tell me who here in North America does labor, waits tables, picks vegetables, hauls garbage, lays brick, performs virtually everything that nobody else wants to do. Who else? The Israeli response to the uprising was brutal. Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin ordered the use of tanks, armed vehicles, and automatic rifles against an unarmed population. Did you guys not see that happening now, here? They've been doing that for a while over there. And you guys didn't care. No, because 99-cent store was making it easy because Walmart was cool. You know what I mean? Everybody had time to buy their fucking Nikes, bro. As long as they don't mess with your pocket, you don't care. The San Francisco Examiner cited Rabin as openly advocating assassinations. They can shoot to hit leaders of disorder. Rabin said in defense of the Army's practice of using marksmen with high-powered 22 caliber rifles to shoot indiscriminately at Palestinian youth. I'm reading this. Rabin ordered house-to-house searches, first for the young men, and later for anyone of whom an example might be made. Is this ringing a bell to you? Does 1492 or 2025 not ring a bell to you guys? By December 27th, over 2,500 Palestinians were seized, many of them young as 12. By the end of January, the number reached 4,000 and was rising. The militants, quote unquote, were marked for deportation. Doesn't that sound familiar? It's why Stephen Miller is running the shop when these things are occurring. And they still are occurring. Many of them as young as 12. At the end of January, the number reached 4,000 and was rising. The militants were marked for deportation. Israeli high-security jails and detention centers were overflowing. Is that not what's happening here? Mass trials of Palestinians were underway. Is that not what they're saying? Deportation, mass deportation. Judges, I guess, dropped the claim or I don't know what they call it. I don't really know the terminology, but where the judge just basically denies something and then they walk out of the courthouse and they get taken, deported. That is a mass trial, basically. The act of brutality, which most inflamed the Palestinian population, was the army seizures of the wounded from the hospital beds. This practiced standard procedure throughout the invasion of Lebanon in 1982 made Shifa Hospital in Gaza a center of resistance. Page 2. Hold on. Great crowds massed to defend the wounded, whom they rightfully feared would never be seen again. Then it says the youngsters in Gaza and the West Bank where riots erupted. Wrote Jerusalem Post correspondent Hirsch Goodman, have not received any terrorist training, nor are they members of a terrorist organization. Rather, they are members of that Palestinian generation that grew up knowing nothing but occupation, meaning their parents told them the stories. A mother of a Palestinian man shot 3 times in the head. Let me slow down. A mother of a Palestinian man shot 3 times in the head by Israeli soldiers was asked if she would let her remaining sons join the demonstration. She replied, "As long as I live, I am going to teach the young people to fight. I don't care whatever happens as long as we get our land back." If I was born over there, I'd be fighting too. And a lot of us, sometimes don't think about that. You think you have problems now. Imagine not having a home to be in, all troubled, all destroyed. In today, like in this lifetime, we talk about 1492, 1812, 1846, all these things, right? But we weren't there yet. Or if we have, we don't remember. You get what I'm saying? This is what's going on right now. Rashad Sawab, the deposed mayor of Gaza, expressed the same sentiment. The youth had lost hope that Israel will ever give them their rights. They feel the Arab countries are unable to accomplish anything. They feel that the Palestinian Liberation Organization has failed to achieve a thing. It says Los Angeles Times correspondent Nance Fisher accounts is even more significant. This newfound sense of unity has been one of the most striking changes to foreign observers and non-Gaza Palestinians. It is a phenomenon that extends to the previous division between young and old, and between those who work in Israel and those who do not. Then this title is called Force Might Beatings, all right? Let's continue. As the uprising intensified, the Israeli cabinet and defense minister Yitzhak Rabin implemented collective punishment. This is going to sound very familiar to you. If it hasn't already, then I don't know. I can't help you then. A tactic characteristic of the Nazi occupation of France, Denmark, and Yugoslavia. But what do you know? The very same people that claim that they suffered these very same things are using the very same tactics, supposedly, that was used on them, on the people here in Palestine. Or not here, but there. Food, water, medicine were prevented from reaching Palestinian refugee camps in Gaza and the West Bank. Now, you guys heard of that last year? No, you guys heard of that when the war started over there between them two? Hezbollah or Gaza, or Hezbollah, Gaza, or Hamas and the Israelis? October 7th. And we heard a lot about this. This is not a long time ago. This is still going on. It keeps repeating itself. What is Trompetas doing to Cuba? Huh? Anybody think about that? No, you see, you don't. You're so mesmerized by these Gringolandians, bro. You're so mesmerized by your fucking shoes or your car and your home and your fucking job. You know, it's like, oh, it's cool, but it does. At least it ain't happening here. You know, whatever, right? The United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for the Palestinian refugees in the Near East personnel reported that children seeking powdered milk at UN depots were shot and beaten with sticks. Let that sink in for a moment. The Kasbah, where over half of the 125,000 inhabitants of Nablus lived, has been sealed off by concrete barricades and iron gates. The Kibbutzim and the nearby refugee camp in Jenin were placed under siege at the times of writing. The siege, which has cut off all food, water, fuel, and electricity, has lasted 55 days. A Jerusalem Post analyst explained the policies of Rabin. He said, the first priority is to use force, might, beatings. This is considered more effective than detention. Let's just beat that ass. He may then resume stoning soldiers. Now, you know, like when Raza gets pulled over, right? Because you get pulled over because you look Raza. And these black, white, or brown, Border Patrol people force you out, beat the shit out of you, prove to you, even if you're a U.S. citizen, that you are submissive to them. This is what they're implementing here. Now you guys fucking care, huh? Now you care. See, it don't matter until it's in your house. Because he may then resume stoning soldiers. And all of you Christmas Christians that are supposedly anti-Israelis now, shut the fuck up. Because you guys been doing this to our people since 1492 and in the Americas all day long. All day long. What do you think happened in Cuba, Venezuela? What do you think happened in Colombia? What do you think happened in Panama? What do you think happened in Chile? What do you think happened in Mexico? Come on. All of a sudden, you're surprised. I can't believe they're doing this. Yeah, really? Well, you know, it's here now. This is considered more effective than detention because he may then resume stoning soldiers. But if troops break hands, he won't be able to throw stones. Interesting, right? By the next day, the news media were reporting that most bestial beatings of soldiers throughout the West Bank and Gaza. The accounts by John Kiffner was compelling. Nablus, Israeli-occupied West Bank, January 22. Both hands encased in plaster cast. You see this? Imad Omar Abu Rub explains from his bed in the Rafidaya hospital what happened when the Israeli army came to the Palestinian village of Kibbutzim. Both hands encased in plaster castings. He's wearing a cast in both hands, right? They enter the house like animals, shouting. The 22-year-old student at Beersheba University said, they took us from the house, kicking us in the head, beating us. All the soldiers with their rifle butts, maybe the end of the rifle. Then he was taken to the construction site of an unfinished house where he said the soldiers put an empty bucket over his head. Several of the soldiers held him down, he said, gripping his arms to force his hands against the rock. 2 others, he said, beat his hands with lengths of 2x4s, breaking the bones. The injuries are the product of a new officially declared policy of the Israeli army and the police to beat up Palestinians in hopes of ending the wave of protest in the occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip that began in early December. Border Patrol has been being trained by these guys. Welcome home, huh? At least 38 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli gunfire in the protest. In the bed next to Mr. Abu Rub, Hassim Arif Kamel, a 17-year-old high school student from Kibbutzim, told a nearly identical story. Labor and Likud leaders responded with one voice to worldwide outcry over these practices. President Chaim Herzog declared, the alternative facing us today is between suppressing these riots or allowing them to develop into a new Tehran or Beirut. Not denying it. Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir and Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin continue to defend the policy, as they do today. You see it right here at the White House. They defend everything. But no, nobody got hurt. No, those people were terrorists. Those were criminals. I mean, look at them. Look at them. They're Mexican looking. Look at them. They're fucking criminals. Why wouldn't we continue to defend our policy? With both men saying publicly that the purpose of the beatings was to instill fear of the Israeli army and the Palestinians. I've shared with you guys a video so often that they look at you, they look at them the same way they look at us. But you don't believe it. That's why I'm protecting my family. That's why I raise them the way I do. Shamir stated that that events had shattered the barrier of fear. Our task is to recreate the barrier and once again put the fear of death into the Arabs of the area. You see, this is why I always wonder, like, if you guys are originally from that region, why do you call them Arabs and you don't call yourself one of them too? Because, you know, that's from Palestine to Iran, correct? So if you're from supposedly Palestine, why don't you call yourself an Arab? Why do you have Arab Jews, supposedly? So that means you're a what, a European Jew? And how does that fucking make sense? What do I know, right? I'm just a dumb Mexican. John Kiffner reported the New York Times, Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir and Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin continued. Oh, that's right. It says, Shamir stated that events that had shattered the barrier of fear, our task is to recreate the barrier and once again put the fear of death into the Arabs of the areas. Really? Then it says he concluded that the uprising would never have taken place had the troops used firearms from the very first moment. So why do you think they're walking around with rifles when they're going around people's homes and shit? But the fear of authority. You guys, I mean, it's funny, man. You Christmas Christians, bro, like you guys are a joke. It felt good when you were on top, right? It felt good when you were like, hey, man, you know what I mean? We're superior than you guys. No, they don't care. Now you're getting mad because they prefer them over you. Now all of a sudden, all of these Anglo Protestants, whatever the fuck you guys are, now you're mad because your presidents and governors prefer them over you. Now you're mad because of that. But when you were preferred over us, so to speak, us brown people, you didn't give a fuck. You didn't fucking care. Deport those bastards. Who fucking cares? But now they're going to use those tactics on you piece of shits, and now you get offended. Now you're mad because you're no longer the favorite. Oh, pobrecitos. It says Palestinian resistance grows. The rebellion of the Palestinian people of the West Bank and Gaza has engulfed every village, town, and refugee camp. Children of as young as 8 and old people in their 70s and 80s defy the Israeli army daily. Entire village populations waving makeshift Palestinian flags of bed sheets and cloth, massed defiantly, singing and chanting, hurling stones at soldiers, firing automatic weapons. So this uprising started in 1980s, like in the 1980s, because these were the children of the parents. Like, let's say, for example, I think maybe like my brother's age, like in the 70s, I believe, and 60s. If you were born in the 60s, 70s, 65, 75, you would have seen this occupation concept. Like very in your face. You get what I mean? So those children in 87 were like being told by their parents what it used to be like and how things occurred. I mean, obviously this was progressive, quite frankly, even before 70s. But it really took off at a different level then. Let's see. Then it says here, the Great Uprising, the Intifada, has become a symbol of Palestinian nationhood, as a brutal repression that once filled the people with despair, now fuels their determination and will, which encompasses the readiness to die. Then it says, the Israeli reprisal has been barbarous. The repression has been unleashed with particular savagery against the refugee camps and the old quarters of the cities inhabited by the impoverished. By April 1988, over 150 Palestinians had died. The Israeli government had admitted to an arrest of 2,000 people, bringing the the acknowledged total to 4,000. The real figure was far higher, of course, just like they're lying to you now. Here, sources in the West Bank and Gaza established that the number detained by the weekend of March 27 had exceeded 13,000. Bassam Shaka'a, disposed mayor of Nablus, placed the total held solely in the hastily constructed barbed wire encampments of Darija at 10,000. In the Balata camp outside of Nablus and in the Kashba, the old quarter, 1,000 people were arrested in a period of 48 hours, just like no different here, picking up random Mexicans and shit, whatever. The discovery of the people in ditches in the fields, shot in the back or with their heads caved in. The discovery of people in the ditches in the fields, shot in the back or with their heads caved in, has been reported from villages throughout the West Bank and Gaza. And it says, Bassam Shaka'a described the rampage of the Israeli armed units. No matter which house one calls, the anguish accounts of family members wounded or arrested pour forth. Convoys of buses cruise the streets of Nablus, followed by vans of the Mossad, Israelis' secret police. Army units go from house to house, pulling youths from their beds at 3 a.m. As the buses fill, the soldiers beat the youths viciously around the heads, shins, groins, and backs. Shrieks fill the air. As the army, I'm reading it because I've read this already, you know. When I first read this, man, and, you know, I take breaks. I come back and I take breaks. I come back, you know, when I find time. And in those moments where I walk away, bro, there's not, you gotta be made out of brick, bro, if you don't even shed one tear. And it's like, I think about us. I look at my kids and stuff, or my little daughter, especially because, you know, she's like always tries to hang out with me when she can. And I'm like, imagine if we were there right now, right there, going through that shit. What the fuck would you do? Now, I ask myself that question. As the army makes its rounds by kidnapping the young from their homes, people gather at their windows and on the roof of the houses, shouting in unison, Phalistan Arabia, Thara Hata al-Nashir, Allah Akbar, Arab Palestine, revolution until victory, God is great. It's page 5, by the way. There's one more page, and we're going to look at a video real quick. Bassam Shaka'a described the attempts by the Israeli army to spread panic and terror in Nablus and outlying villages. So, like, you can see why they're using so much force here. It's crazy, man. Fleets of helicopters fly over Nablus at night, dropping a dense... Listen, fleets of helicopters fly over Nablus at night, dropping a dense, green, toxic gas over the city. The smell pervades every house. Armed units fire canisters of the substance into houses at random. Doctors at Etihad Hospital reported several deaths and severe lung injuries from this as yet identified asphyxiating chemical, totally distinct from tear gas. You know, it pains me that a lot of you guys don't know that the quote-unquote gassing in the Holocaust was first practiced here on our people in 1917, early 1917, and even later as well. But do you care? Does it matter to you? I've come to realize, man, 85% of people really are fucking horrible, bro. Do you know that? 80% maybe, man. I wish I could go as fucking high as 95 or some shit. But this world is polluted with wickedness, bro. A lot of you guys didn't care until it came home. You see, us, Raza, we've been going through this shit since I can remember, since I was born knowing about it. Not since I was born, because, you know, I didn't know about that stuff, but since I came here. And when I came here, I knew about it because of people that told me. And as I got older, I found out even more. But see, none of you guys cared. You're so-called North Americans, which you call yourself Americans. Like if you forget, this is the whole Americas. We could all be American. You know what fuck faces? We could all be that. Okay. But it's North America. You guys didn't care. We were getting deported, getting arrested, people dying at the border, people dying in Nevada, in Arizona, in New Mexico, trying to cross. Some of you guys said, oh, no, it's just because they died out of thirst. No, a lot of you Minutemen were doing this shit. You shooting our people. You killing our people. You lynching our people. But no one was there to report it. None of it. The victimization hood is fucking over. Oh, my God, they're trying to be racist towards us, white folk. No, bro, listen. You are forgetting that what you've done is here in your face now. You can't run from it no more. You can't point the finger to these people. All they are is just, they chose a different religion. Y'all are one and the same. You know different. You categorize us in 1492. You categorize us in 1848. You categorize us now. Ain't no different than what they've done. It's no different than every time you see in a movie. Matter of fact, the Nazi shit, they categorize them like half mixed, word mixed, full mixed, like we can kill them, we can't kill them. It's the same shit you guys did with eugenics. You implemented eugenics here, then you went and took it around the whole world. Is it not that a fact? Chemicals. Among the victims were the grandmothers of Da'a's family and a 100-year-old father of noted in the blues attorney Muhammad Irshad, soldier. I'm sorry, hold on, Irshad. And by the way, when you read this, it's kind of printed awkward. Maybe it's a translation. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Just bear with me. Soldiers had entered the house at 2 a.m., smashing furniture and firing a canister of the dreaded green gas while preventing the family from leaving. You see this? Among the victims were the grandmother of Da'a's family and the 100-year-old father of noted Nablus attorney Muhammad Irshad. Soldiers had entered the house at 2 a.m. because they were usually going into midnight, smashing furniture and firing a canister of the dreaded green gas while preventing the family from leaving. Do you realize now there were German Jews who didn't want to tell people they were Jews, who were also Nazis? Is that now clicking? All of a sudden, you guys are like, oh, these Israelis, they look just like you white people. You guys are all the same. Polish, Lithuanians, Russian, Hungarian, Turkish, all of that shit, bro. For real. It's just a historical fact. 2 of the children, aged 9 and 11, were taken by the soldiers in their night clothes, frog marched in the streets, and beaten as they were forced by the jeering soldiers to clear debris. Simultaneously, the Israeli army targeted the hospitals. Army trucks rammed the ambulances and blocked them from reaching the homes of those overcome by the gas. Soldiers entered the Itabi hospital in the Nubles, numerous times, arresting the wounded and those waiting to give blood to the family members. Even the operating theater was invaded while surgeons were operating on patients. Even the operating theater was invaded while surgeons were operating on patients. Doctors were beaten and equipment smashed. Family members were prevented from entering the hospital. And the cars of doctors and nurses were destroyed. By who? The soldiers. Meanwhile, all of Nublius was paralyzed by a total strike. All the streets in every quarter of the city were without open shops or business activities. As gas permeated the city, cries and chants filled the night. Remember that green gas that it's unidentified? Gas canisters recovered by Bassam Shaka, Yosef al-Masri, chief of the Itit Hospital, and American author Alfred Lilienthal bear the markings 560 CS, Federal Lab, Salzburg, PA, USA, MK2, 1988. What do you want me to tell you, bro? What do you want me to tell you? I would really like to know what the hell that chemical is. It's let me see something here. Let me try to save this. Give me a moment. Give me a moment, fam. Give me a moment. Just one little moment. Hold on. All right. Let me look for this chemical real quick. 560C, federal. Federal lab. Salzburg. PA, USA, MK2, 1988. Does this during war women take over federal labs? No, you're not gonna find it like that. I mean, I found that it's relating to the book. It's just relating to the book. It's like a tear gas, some type of form. I mean, look, listen, you can see who built that damn thing. You see what I mean, family? And you guys are all surprised. All you Christmas Christians, you white Protestants, man, all you supposedly you're anti-Israeli now. Oh, I can't believe they're doing that. Bro, you've been doing it to our people forever, man. All of a sudden now you fucking care. You've been doing it to our people forever. This is nothing new. Maybe new to you. John Kiffner reported on April 4th that hundreds of refugees were treated in the United Nations clinic for a gas inhalation. God, I can't even read. On April 15th, Kiffner wrote, gas has been thrown inside homes, clinics, and schools where the effects are particularly severe. Particularly severe, he says. I sometimes wonder if this even like rocks your boat, bro. You know what I mean? Like if you guys even fucking care. It's sad to me, bro. It's really sad to me. Hold on, let me see if this is the link. If not, I'm gonna try to use. Hold on a second, family. Let me see. Give me a moment. I'm trying to see if this is a link. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. This is a link. We're going to watch a couple of videos. And then we're going to come back to it, okay? We're going to start at page 6 in the next round of pages. In the meantime, let me play this for you. Pay attention.
Israel believe in shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't waste any time. We do exactly everything upside down, because that way we can be special, God's chosen people. After we shoot ourselves in the foot, we blame the Palestinians, because to blame the Palestinians is a very special honor that only we get to do. Do you ever get to blame Palestinians for what you do, your crimes? It's much easier to go through life that way, trust me, especially when we are the biggest criminals in the world.
I find it so funny because people like her, right, voted for Trump because he said what? That you Mexicans are drug dealers, rapists, and God knows what, criminals. We're poisoning the blood of their nation. Isn't that what they say? They do blame you and us or other people for the shit that they do. They blame Mexico for their drug abuse, right? No, Mexicans are the criminals because they can't say fucking no, because they have problems, because they have wickedness in their hearts, right? It's funny to me that now you're pointing the finger at Israelis like, oh my God, they're doing so hard. You've been doing that shit here since 1490 fucking two. And I don't know.
Do you remember when we bombed King David Hotel long time ago? No? Good, forget about that. Remember what we did to the flotilla to Gaza? You don't? Good. Good. Stay ignorant. It's good for us. And if you have true leftists, how dare you be educated and know what's going on? We in Israel believe in shooting ourselves.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised that she's sitting back. Look. I'm surprised she's sitting back like, oh my God, these Israelis. This is what you fucking people did, bro. This is what you guys did.
Open the door. Open the door. Get your hands up and come outside. Come outside. Everybody in the house needs to come outside. No, keep your hands up. Everybody come outside. Push them this way. Out here in the yard. Out here in the yard. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's the boys! Three.
You're no different. You're no different. The nerve of you. The nerve of you. Really? Really? Like really? You're gonna point the finger now? Page 6. Agency doctors have seen symptoms not normally connected with tear gas. The UNRWA is seeking information on the contents of the gas to provide antidote, especially for the most vulnerable groups, pregnant women, the very young and elderly. Kiefner later reported, warnings on the canister say the content can be lethal. Warnings on the canister say the content can be lethal. Really? Throughout the West Bank and Gaza, cases of miscarriages, vaginal bleeding, asphyxiation were occurring after the use of the gas. If you guys watch the movie Nuremberg, I think it's Nuremberg, right? Nuremberg. Yeah, Nuremberg movie, right? Is it Nuremberg? It's the movie where these Nazis are getting together, deciding. No, not Nuremberg. It's like these Nazis are getting together, deciding on this Nazi movie of an important meeting. I think it was conspiracy, maybe. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this movie. No, stop. No. Okay, we might as well use it. Okay, this movie, conspiracy. Okay, it's kind of not chilling, dude. It's just crazy. Their interpretation of evacuation wasn't evacuation; it was extermination. But they were trying to, implement the gas treatment all across, Europe, supposedly to get rid of these people, the mixed races. I know, and remember, keep in mind that whenever they met each other, right? What was their famous thing? Hail Hitler. Hail Hitler is what they said. They didn't say Hail Germany. They said Hail Hitler. It's no different than when they say Hail Trump. They only do what Trump says it's supposed to do. The same thing with Hitler. It's Hitler. He decides what law goes and what doesn't. You get what I'm saying? It's no different. Nothing new under the sun, I guess. Kiefner later reported warnings on the canister says the content can be lethal. Throughout the West Bank and Gaza, cases of miscarriages, vaginal bleedings, and asphyxiations were occurring after the use of the gas. A glimpse of the savagery, it says. Some of the most vicious incidents occurred in the town of Kalkiya. Soldiers entered the house of workers and poured gasoline over them, setting them alight. 6 workers were covered in flames. 4 of the victims managed to rush out of the building and roll on the ground, ripping off their clothes. 2 were severely burned, and are in critical condition. On February 20th, 2 youths were arrested in Khan Yunis, beaten savagely, and taken to the beach where they were buried alive under the sand. After the soldiers left, villagers managed to dig them out. You hear this? Reports in the establishment press gave a glimpse of the scale of Israeli brutality. A soldier's account reported in the Israeli newspaper Hadashat was cited in Newsweek. We got orders to knock on every door and enter and take out all the males. Isn't that what Stephen Miller says? Isn't that what J.D. Vance are like saying they're going to go door to door? You guys are like, oh, that's Nazi stuff. Shut the fuck up. That happened in Palestine. You see, you didn't care. You didn't care until Walmart started to disappear. You didn't care until your 99 cents or until your value that you cared for, until your money started shrinking. You didn't care. Now you care. Y'all are hypocrites, man. You are hypocrites. We got orders to knock on every door, enter and take out all the males. Nothing new under the sun. The younger ones were lined up with their faces against the wall, and soldiers beat them with billy clubs. This was no private initiative. These were the orders from our company commander. The accounts make it clear that Israeli protestation about the excesses of individual soldiers are transparently false, Newsweek revealed. Armed with 30-inch wooden clubs and urged by their prime ministers to put the fear back into the Arabs. How can you be... I don't understand. If you say... Well, okay, whatever. Israeli soldiers have methodically beaten up Palestinians since early January, deliberately breaking bones and beating prisoners into unconsciousness. Casualties include not only young men, but also women. Most of the injured shun hospitals for fear of arrest. The avoidance of hospitals by the injured has prevented accurate reporting of the vast scale of the savage beatings and of the death of those who endured them. But an indication has provided in the reports of the medical team respecting the wounded in the hospital in the early February of 1988. Dr. Jennifer Leanan, a faculty member of Harvard Medical School and trauma specialist, reported her findings. This is a systematic pattern of limb injury that is clearly organized to cause fractures. A consistent pattern of bone breaks across the back of the hands and the middle of the forearm that comes from holding the hands or arms in place and applying a strong blow to the bone. Put your arms up and then they use a bat and break that shit in half, bro. Kids, by the way, not grown-ass men. Dr. Leaning and the team of physicians for human rights traveled throughout the West Bank and Gaza. They concluded it is a pattern that is controlled, a systematic pattern of a wide geographical area. It is as if they had been instructed. Dr. Leaning's account of the new patient throughout the Shifa hospital in Gaza is compelling. They look like they had been mauled. What is impressive is the number of fractures per patient. These patterns look as if they had been put through a washing machine wringer. They would have had to hold them down and just keep beating them. Repeated instances of young males shot deliberately through the testicles were reported in Shifa hospitals in Gaza and Makassa Hospital in East Jerusalem. Soldiers poured boiling water over a 2-year-old infant, rendering her catatonic. You don't care. Quelling the protests. New York Times correspondent John Kiefer called the systematic roundup parts of a series of tough new measures, including economic sanctions and collective punishment. Doesn't that sound familiar? That the Israeli army and other officials are imposing in hopes of quelling the protests, which have grown into an increasingly organized Palestinian mass movement in the occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip. The army's new orders allows detention without any specific charges or trials, even in military court. Moreover, according to the March 23, the New York Times, the procedures do away with judicial review of the administrative detention sentences and allows local commanders to order the arrest. He says, and it says, immediately after the order, people were seized overnight in more than a dozen refugee districts, villages, and towns in West Bank and Gaza. Once again, Israeli Defense Minister Yatsi Rabin announced that Israeli civilians have the same authority as soldiers to shoot.
Are you?
Dyers need not fire warning shots before the shooting Palestinians, meaning like if you just want to shoot them, you can. Minutemen, how are they any different? You guys hired Minutemen. They're not cops, but they went around supposedly protecting the border. They shot people. You didn't know. It's not fucking different. You're no different. Newsweek was more explicit. The decree meant Israeli soldiers could shoot to kill Palestinian youth. Yitzhak Rabin was effectively deputizing settlers, deputizing the Oath Keepers, deputizing the Proud Boys, which is a gay fucking title to have, deputizing the third percenters, or deputizing those, don't threat on me, all of you that fucking carry those shits. And if you guys ever dealt with that shit, then you need to examine yourself. You probably have a hard-ass time in your home now. The decision, according to Newsweek, would open the floodgates of the 60,000 settlers' pent-up frustrations. It was not long before the attack occurred on April 6. Settlers engaging in a clear provocation shot in cold blood a Palestinian working in his field outside the village of Beita. Attention, however, focused on the death of Tirza Porat, a 15-year-old settler girl among the group. Nobody cared about the old man. They just cared about, oh my God, the children got shot. The settlers reported Tirza Porat had been stoned to death by a Palestinian villager, but an army autopsy report revealed she had been shot in the head by the Kahane follower acting as her nominal guard. I don't know what the fuck. Accident? Purpose? Rabbi Meir Cain is the founder of the U.S. Defense League. Whatever. Despite the autopsy report, Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir used the occasion to vow that Palestinians would be crushed like grasshoppers. Head smashed against the boulders and walls. That's biblical, you remember? In Beita villages, the scene of the incident, 30 houses were blown up. The number of houses destroyed was confirmed by Hamdi Faraj, a noted Palestinian journalist. Forms of self-government emerged, it says. The recent Palestinian uprising has done more to challenge Israeli control than has been achieved in the 20 years. The entire infrastructure of the Israeli rule has unraveled. Spies are asking forgiveness, confessing their deeds and exposing the apparatus of control. Police are resigning. So, you can see what that says. However, the Village League's Israeli organization of collaboration have collapsed. The Los Angeles Times reports that challenges by the unified national leadership of the uprising had led to the resignations by municipal, village, and town councils. Before the uprising, 20,000 Palestinians worked under Israeli army and the police control, providing service to the West Bank and Gaza. They were teachers, clerks, administrators. Most have resigned. Increasingly, forms of self-government are emerging in the West Bank and Gaza. The Israelis closed the schools. The resistance organizes classes. The Israelis order shops to open. The resistance keeps them closed. The Israelis close the shops. The resistance opens them. The West Bank and Gaza are trapped in what Newsweek calls colonial setup. Interesting. Newsweek cites Israeli demographers Meran Benvenisti, the former deputy mayor of Jerusalem, as follows. The occupied territories, occupied America, 1848, 1492, no different, became a source of cheap labor and a captive market for Israeli goods. Pay attention, family. Israeli trade surplus in the West Bank and Gaza, Benvenisti reveals, is $500 million a year. Trade surplus meaning what people buy from Israelis, right, compared to what they buy from other people. But this is just from West Bank and Gaza. So all the people they oppress gives them about $500 million a year in goods that that the Palestinians need. The government takes a further $80 million a year in taxes above what it provides in meager social services, right? So whatever these people have, whatever money they spend or make, they get taxed on that shit. And they get another $80 million. The territories import $780 million a year of Israeli goods at high prices. See this? Now, how much money does the Euro guy here do? The Anglos, they send him a lot. You guys don't care. You don't care. I mean, now you do because now they're messing with your shit. But you didn't care before. You didn't care 10 years ago. You didn't care when Obama did it. You didn't care when Clinton did it. You didn't care when Bush did it. You didn't care when Biden did it. You didn't even care. And I mean, then you didn't care when Trump was doing it until he lied to you. Then you fucking cared. Oh, it's about the Epstein files. Really? You care more about that? You didn't care about it before. You care more about the fact that he lied to you about the Epstein files and this shit. Because as long as you keep prospering and you're superior than other people, hey, you know, I don't care what other people suffer like. It don't matter to me. Even though these people were giving them lots of money to live by, like for example, us, our GDP, 3.5 trillion, I think trillion. Could be as much as a billion, I think trillion or billion, whatever the two, but almost as much as a country here in the northern part of the Americas. Do they care? No, they still want to deport you. The Palestinians have some economic weapons of their own. Thousands of Arab workers have long since walked away from jobs as Israeli farms, factories, and construction sites. You see them, the same menial jobs that a lot of our people occupy in this territory here, right? Is the same menial jobs that the Palestinians are basically work in those territories. Do you see any difference? Palestinian shoppers cut back their purchases of Israeli goods. Arab merchants and self-employed professionals struck a more direct blow at the occupation. They refused to pay Israeli income and commercial taxes. Thus, as Newsweek acknowledged, the economic sword cut in two directions. Israel's construction industry, which drew 42% of its workforce from the occupied territory, has been hobbled by Arab walkouts. So as you can see, the construction workers were who? Not these Khazars, not these lazy bums, not these Zionists, Christian and Jew. No, the people that actually live there, like you, brother and sister, like us, the people that actually live here, that belong here in this land. Israeli Economic Minister Gad, Khazar, estimated that the first 3 months of rioting cost Israel economy at least $300 million, 10% of U.S. aid for a full year. So that's 10% of U.S. aid for a full year. That's how much they give you guys. Your whatever. That's how much you give them, plus what they charge the Palestinians. It says, quote-unquote, liberated zones, supposedly. No respite can be expected for Israel. The village in the West Bank and Gaza has responded defiantly to Israel's barbaric onslaught, declaring themselves liberated zones, barricading the streets and flying the Palestinian flag, right? Newsweek reports their protests are adroitly coordinated through the leaflets issued by the shadowy Unified National Command of the Uprising. Their leaflets are the law of the land, it says. Despite the massive repression, Palestinian spirits have never been higher. This spirit is perhaps the factor of greatest concern in the Israeli state. Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir told Israeli television, the people who are throwing stones, the insiders, the leaders, they are today in a situation of euphoria, of great enthusiasm. They think that they are the victors. 2 more pages in one video, and I think we're through for this one. And it says, Middle East editor, page 10, The Hidden History of Zionism. The Middle East editor of Jerusalem Post, Khazar, reported that Israeli security forces estimate that army has now detained the majority of those now pulling the strings of the uprising. And yet the uprising continues. The leaflets continue to appear. The mood approaching panic is settling among the Israeli leaders. On March 30th, Land Day, the day Palestinians incite pre-1967 Israeli protests, the confiscation of their land. Okay, so remember how 1967, 1987, a 20-year gap, those young people experienced the occupation. And those people, like for example, myself, if I lived there at that time, right? I was born 9 years before. No, 11 years before. 11 years after, sorry. Yeah, 11 years after. Like, I might have missed that if I was born over there. So in this case, it's talking about my children, right? This action renewed a new general strike in support of uprising, which was first held in December 21, 1987. The unified national leadership of the uprising in the occupied territories called for the huge demonstration against the army and settlers to coincide with the general strike. For the first time since 1948, Palestinians throughout the Lebanon, joined by Lebanese in Sidon, Beirut, and other cities, also staged their own demonstrations and general strike in solidarity with the uprising. The uprising has galvanized not only Israeli Arabs, but the Palestinians in the diaspora. The participation of the Palestinians of Lebanon and the thousands of Lebanese themselves was felt throughout the Arab world. This new phase of Palestinian revolution was not lost on the Israeli authorities. In an attempt to counter coordination between the Palestinians inside the Green Line, quote unquote, pre-1967 borders, the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, the Israelis completely sealed off the West Bank and Gaza. Since uprising is taking place both in the West Bank and Israel, emphasis added, a senior military source said, "We decided to separate the two and prevent large-scale public disorder." So now they cause a separation so they won't communicate as often. So then we want to signal very clearly that we are not going to hesitate to use whatever measures are necessary. Same guy says. Ariel Sharon, former defense minister and current trade minister, announced that the uprising would lead inevitably to war with the Arab states and the necessary expulsion of the Arabs from the West Bank, Gaza, and the Galilee. Really? But the Palestinians entering their 40th year of occupation since the founding of the Israeli state have been deterred. The revolutionary war, quote unquote, of the Palestinian people is recruiting the hearts and minds of youth in every Arab country and in capitals across the world. This spirit was fully captured in a letter written by members of Palestinian underground resistance in Israeli-occupied West Bank to a rally in Paris, France, and in March 3, 1988, organized by an ad hoc committee of supporters of Palestinian human rights. Their letter states in part. So this is just a letter talking about the struggle that they're going through, okay? Let me see if I can pinpoint some things here. Let's just start here and then we'll finish it like that, okay? It says, today our people are suffering. They are shedding their blood to win their freedom, dignity, and honor, their rights to determine their own destiny, their rights to live in their homeland, and to build a free, democratic, and sovereign state in all of Palestine. To all free men and women, to all our comrades, we say the following. Palestinian people have been the victims of many decades of an international plot of vicious attacks aimed at exiling them and chasing them from the lands upon which they have lived for centuries. What a coincidence. Have you guys not understood this already, family? This is an international plot, which what occurred here. That is more on a micro level scale. This is more on a macro, long term, right? We have been expelled from our lands which have now been settled by foreigners in accordance with the aim of colonialism and imperialism. When the Christmas Christians came over here, did they come here with, anything but that? No, they didn't. They came here with what? Hold on a second here. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Let's see, against the struggle, our weapons come from homeland, they are stones, which of the operation of this corner homeland. Wait, hold on, what the hell did I do? It was right there, right? 8-9, so government. Give me a second, family. God, man, why did I lose this page? It says page 9. Page 10. I think we're here. There's a letter right there. Okay, there it goes right here. It says here, we have been expelled from our lands, lands which have now been settled by foreigners in accordance with the aims of colonialism and imperialism. This settlement has been imposed by the laws of oppression promoted by the Western nations and the Eastern totalitarian regimes. This settlement has been imposed by the laws of oppression promoted by the Western nations, Europeans, and Eastern totalitarian regimes, meaning all of those that benefit from the Europeans, which call themselves North Americans today, and falsely and completely misinterpret the term American. That means all the America's fucking idiots. These oppressive laws are also those of international Zionism, which is Christian Zionism as well as Judaic Zionism. No different. No different. That's why you guys think Trump is like the fucking Messiah. We have been subject to terror, assassination, and torture. Today, we are deprived of even our most elementary and legitimate rights. They have wanted to make us as an exile people, destined permanently to refugee camps. They have wanted to destroy us physically and eliminate us. Is that not true? Did I not share the video about how people are, calling about how they're detaining them? Are you not hearing 40 people so far? More than that have died under their custody? Destroy you physically, mentally, spiritually? Separating you from your children? 85,000 kids for the what? For the purpose of Epstein? Maybe. What are you? No different, man. Christian Zionists, Judaic Zionists, y'all are the same. Through the wars of 1948 and 1967, they carried out the occupation of all of Palestine. Of all Palestine. Hold on. Let me just go here. Page 12 and 13, I think. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, that's right. 12 and 13, and then we're almost done, fam. It says, in Palestine, they also unified the entire Palestinian people in their struggle against oppression. That is what is happening today as the children of elderly and the women and the youth have risen up as one single person, without the arms to face the military machines of Zionism and imperialism, to face the violence of guns and clubs and kidnapping and the assassinations. Our weapons come from our homeland. And by the way, don't forget that Christians, they went around, doing their whole Christian bullshit. They voted for Trump because they're supposed to be pro-Christian, right? To deport all people that looked like us. Kidnappings, gun shootings, beatings, assassinations. What, you think it didn't happen to you? It's happening to the people at the border. I've shared classes before which shows that people have been dying at the border for centuries, for like thousands, for years, a lot of thousands of years. But yeah, technically shit. Our weapons come from our homeland. They're the stones with which our people have built up a wall to defend their combatants in the revolution. Then it says, dear friends, you should know what is going on in our homeland. 2 weeks ago, the forces of occupation buried 8 young Palestinians alive after having beaten them savagely and broken their limbs. 4 of them were saved by the people, and other 4 were never found. 3 days ago, Israeli military forces dropped 3 live Palestinians youth from a helicopter flying at a high altitude. One of the youths was only 13 years old. What, you think Christians, you don't think you're doing that here? Your border patrol is doing that to people that you've deported, supposedly U.S. citizens. Then you let them go somewhere where it's fucking cold and shit with no sweater, and you let them die. It's no different. You're no different. You make me laugh when you point your finger at these people. I'm serious. You make me laugh. I have no pity for you. No, shall God have mercy on you and your seed. This is what they are currently doing to our people. Dear friends, we want you to know that we reject all so-called solutions and peace projects that some people would like to impose on us through international conferences. We want you to know that we are committed to continuing our revolution until the total liberation of all Palestinians, until the establishment of a democratic and free state in which all free men and women, from wherever they may be, are welcome to live so long as they accept to live with us as equal on our land of Palestine. We are no longer on our knees We're standing tall. We will not yield. We feel that it is legitimate for us to demand and aid assistance from people throughout the world who are struggling for the freedom of all oppressed people. You guys didn't care. This is in 1987. You didn't care. Who was president then? I think it was Senior Bush. You didn't care. Shit was good, huh? You were American. That's all that mattered to you. The fashion, the flash, the coke and the pot, all of that shit, the crack, cocaine, whatever the fuck it is. You were too busy with you. We ask of you not only that you speak out in support of our struggles and your speeches and protests, but that you demand that your government take a clear position in opposition to the repressive and criminal method of Zionism. Christian Zionism is no different. Since 1492, you guys have been Christian Zionists. We ask for your moral and material support for our Palestinian people who are struggling to obtain their final victory. Palestinian people have risen, their yearnings for emancipation steering the pauperized masses in every country of Arab East, reduced to a condition of penury by corrupt country-selling regimes. The Egyptians, Jordanians, and Saudi people have begun to respond to the extraordinary example set for them by the Palestinian people. Let's see, hold on. Check this out. Perhaps more significantly, a detailed report by Robert Greensberger in the Wall Street Journal describes the profound effect in the Intifada on the Jewish masses themselves, notably the Arab Jews or Sephardim. Now, I pause for a moment there because think about it. Arab Jews and Sephardim. So who are these other people that are from Europe? Are they not Arabs or Sephardim? And if they're not Arabs or Sephardim, because Sephardims are considered to be from that land, why do they not agree with being Arabs, Jews themselves? Now, nearly 70% of the Jewish population of Israel, their sentiment are shifting. In contrast to the rabid Likud, Israel's ruling party, figures such a Reuven Rivlin, who declared ominously, "I believe God is Jewish. I believe the demographic problem will be solved." The Sephardic Jews are corresponding differently. The riots shattered the myth perpetrated by the Likud founders Mesham and Begin and his successor, Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir. The Sephardim are demanding social services and want to bridge the gap between ideology and practical solution to the Arab-Israeli conflict. They care more about jobs, housing, and education than keeping faith with a territorial inviolate Israel. Enoch Smith, a U.S. pollster, reflecting on the new challenges, quote unquote, from the Sephardim notes, this year, for the first time, they will account for 51% of the voters. Didn't make a difference. As a letter from the underground attests, the Palestinian people, self-activated and increasingly confident of the power of mass struggles, are demanding aid and assistance from the people throughout the world who are struggling for the freedom of all oppressed people. This message is beginning to reach Israeli Jews. The day is dawning when you too will seek a future free of Zionist state, Christian or Judaic, which has combined subjugations of the Palestinian people with the exploitation of the Jewish poor. This book seeks to uncover the hidden history of Zionism, a moment rooted in the ideology of racist oppression of Jews and colonial subjects alike. Remember, Jews and Muslims of British colonial America? It's since 1492. Family, they've been doing that shit to us. You just were too fucking stupid and sleep to figure it out. Yeah, I said that shit. I hope it hurts. Yes, it has been written in anticipation of that day when the dedication and fervor of the Palestinian people, so long persecuted and oppressed, will speak to the Jews, recalling to them their own painful history, because they never went through it, with the program for a Palestine in which victims past and present will create together the intifada of the future and overthrow a state predicated upon oppression, torture, expulsion, expansion, and unending war.
Who are you?
Once again, oppression, torture, expulsion, expansion, and unending wars. We're going to finish it with this video. Hold on a second. Yeah, I know what it is, bro. It's all good. I don't give a shit. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is, man. We're going to end it with this video. Hope you guys like it.
Llámese el Mencho, el Chapo, el Mayo, Pablo Escobar o Caro Quintero, los cacareados todopoderosos capos no son más que los prestanombres del verdadero capo de capos, el imperio. Y es que hablando de negocios redondos, ¿qué mejor caso de estudio que un imperio que manufactura un cártel y su competencia? Les vende armas a ambos, lucra con la droga para financiar sus operaciones negras de contrainsurgencia, sus invasiones, factura con el amarillismo mediático y lava el dinero que producen ambos cárteles en sus bancos. Y cuando decide retirar a uno de ellos, lo combate con millones de la DEA, el FBI y Homeland Security, solo para sustituirlo por otro y seguir alimentando la adicción de su población. El ejército mexicano ahora ha capturado a El Mencho, líder del cártel Jalisco Nueva Generación. Pero la fábrica que lo manufacturó sigue operando. Así que volteamos a ver a esa fábrica de capos que, situada en pleno imperio, se prepara para seguir facturando. Yo soy Sassy Alejandre, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a La Otra Voz. Enemigos de la seguridad nacional estadounidense. ¿Son los cárteles los enemigos de la seguridad nacional estadounidense o más bien sus aliados más útiles? La llamada doctrina Donroe apunta a un eje claro: erradicar gobiernos y movimientos de izquierda para consolidar el dominio de Estados Unidos sobre América Latina, sus tierras raras y recursos estratégicos. Para ello, mucho antes de la llegada de Trump, el narco ha sido pieza central. Y es que no es casual que los cárteles busquen dominar las zonas más ricas en recursos naturales. El cártel Jalisco controla Zacatecas, por ejemplo, el corazón minero del país, y también dos de los estados con más tierras raras, Chihuahua y Oaxaca. Su rol ahí es clave: desplazar comunidades y aplastar la resistencia a mineras estadounidenses y canadienses. Sin contarse lo suficiente que entre los mayores beneficiarias de la guerra contra el narco de Felipe Calderón estuvo, por ejemplo, Fortuna Silver Mines, que, junto al narco y el ejército, despojó con masacres, por ejemplo, a la comunidad de San José del Progreso en Oaxaca. O quizás los Zetas, a quienes el cártel Jalisco habría surgido para combatir, supuestamente, bajo el nombre Mata Zetas. Nacen como grupo de élite del ejército mexicano, entrenados en la Escuela de las Américas en Fort Bragg, para exterminar al EZLN y otras insurrecciones contra el Tratado de Libre Comercio con Estados Unidos. Casualmente, los cárteles siempre alineados con los intereses del imperio. Y para ello, ¿cuándo es que Estados Unidos no ha armado a los mercenarios que le sirven a sus fines? Tras el operativo del ejército mexicano que abatió a El Mencho, líder del cártel Jalisco, esto decía el titular de defensa mexicano Ricardo Trevilla.
Se han asegurado en lo que va de la administración 23,000 armas. De esas 23,000 armas, el 80% son de origen norteamericano.
Y es que a sorpresa de nadie, el país con 432 millones de armas en manos civiles, 83 millones más que habitantes, es el que, con gusto y connivencia, arma hasta los dientes a los cárteles mexicanos. Mientras en México existe una sola tienda de armas, operada por la Secretaría de Defensa Nacional, los cárteles en México están equipados como si fueran el mismísimo ejército estadounidense, porque es el mismo equipo, de grado militar. Lanzacohetes, AK-47, fusiles Barrett, granada de fragmentación o balas de calibre .50, del tamaño de un habano, fabricadas especialmente para el ejército estadounidense. Porque no solo hablamos de compradores testaferros y de tráfico hormiga, sino de que la mitad de estos cartuchos de calibre .50 confiscados de los cárteles desde 2012 fueron rastreados a la fábrica de munición Lake City Army Ammunition Plant, propiedad del gobierno estadounidense, y la mayor fábrica de rifles para el ejército estadounidense. Una prueba más de la connivencia del gobierno de Estados Unidos en armar al narco. Entre 2009 y 2011, el Buró de Alcohol, Tabaco, Armas y Explosivos del Departamento de Justicia estadounidense ejecutó la llamada Operación Rápido y Furioso, consistiendo en permitir que compradores sospechosos adquirieran armas en Arizona para supuestamente rastrearlas hasta los cárteles mexicanos, excepto que miles de estas armas se perdieron misteriosamente. En resumen, una venta de armas al narco tutelada desde el más alto rango del gobierno estadounidense, disfrazada de operativo de inteligencia. Y todo esto en plena iniciativa Mérida, la cooperación logística, militar y económica estadounidense a la guerra contra el narco de Felipe Calderón. ¿Se acuerdan de la frase de Eduardo Galeano que decía: ellos tenían la Biblia y nosotros teníamos la tierra? Y nos dijeron: cierren los ojos y recen. Y cuando abrimos los ojos, ellos tenían la tierra y nosotros la Biblia. Pues así en los medios de desinformación, para los que misteriosamente los narcos tienen la droga y el establishment estadounidense tiene las armas. Y en un abrir y cerrar de ojos, estos se intercambian. Con ustedes, Infobae. ¿Qué armas fabricadas en Estados Unidos llegan a manos de los cárteles mexicanos? O El Economista también. Armas importadas en Estados Unidos terminan en manos de narcos. Porque como bien hablamos en este episodio, las armas estadounidenses acaban en manos de los cárteles por obra de teletransportación, claro está. Pero no solo. Hablando de la reciente captura y abatimiento de El Mencho, vimos una red coordinada de propaganda y desinformación. Ubicados a la fecha, cuando menos 500 bots, que inmediatamente después del anuncio del operativo del ejército mexicano, irrumpieron en las redes sociales con imágenes generadas con inteligencia artificial, mostrando, por ejemplo, a ciudades como Puerto Vallarta, aviones y aeropuertos como el de Guadalajara, supuestamente en llamas. Esto por parte de cuentas vinculadas a las redes trumpistas, tanto estadounidenses como internacionales, como la de Laura Loomer, influencer de extrema derecha y asesora no oficial de Trump, o Agustina Tonetti, influencer argentino cercano al régimen de Milei y aupado por medios como Voice of America.
La muerte del narcotraficante más poderoso del mundo
fue abatido Nemesio Ceguera Cervantes, El Mencho.
Ha sembrado el caos, el miedo en el estado de Jalisco,
un terror en México y un desvío de foco internacional con el que no se salieron las suyas, sin embargo. Porque hoy, como siempre tuvo que haber sido, el foco está puesto en el cártel del norte.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.